Welcome back, everyone. We're happy to be here. Mina sitting in again for Brandon. Welcome back to another episode of AWM Insights. There's been a lot of sporting events over the last couple weeks. We've had the Super Bowl, Waste Management Open, Riviera, NBA All-Star Game. So we're going to kind of use these bigger sporting events to guide the conversation. That conversation topic we're going to focus on today is how winning happens, but how winning happens when it comes to investing, our little twist on it. And so starting off this conversation, I'm going to give us kind of high-level overview of where we would start, right? This is not rocket science at all. If you want to win a game, you have to know the game you're playing. And in our view, our kind of definition when it comes to investing, there's a number of different investing games you can play. You can play it for entertainment and go speculate and play with meme stocks. You can day trade. You can do all sorts of different things. A lot of those are foolish, by the way. There's plenty of data that supports that statement. If you're curious, let us know. But really the game we're playing, kind of all joking aside, is really to use money as a tool to optimize your priorities, to make sure your money, your hard-earned financial resources are allocated in the highest confidence manner to drive success, drive your priorities. We call this a human-centered approach to financial design or to investing. Really, we're trying to drive a much more flourishing life for you guys, all our clients listening, and so that's really how we define the game we're playing. We want to make sure our win is clients being able to do what's important, at least what they've expressed as what's important to them in life. So that's the game we're playing.
Yeah, and I would say also to actually win, after you determine what game you're playing, you need the proper expertise, you need the proper coaching, you need the right equipment, the right staff around you to enable you to execute on what you're trying to do, and ultimately that's win. And you also need to have winners on your team. People that have won before know how to win again. They know everything that's needed to win and what it takes, and ultimately that really helps you and helps you achieve your goals.
Yeah, for sure. The discipline, the knowledge of what it takes is incredibly important.
And we saw that. Yeah, we saw them in the Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so we know the game we're playing. We got to develop a playbook to actually play this game. The way in which we go about this is asking a pretty simple question, and it's surprising how often overlooked it can be. But what does the data say? What does history tell us? You can't always say that history is going to repeat itself. It will not. But there's a ton of lessons that we can really learn if we look at the data in the right way. Applying this to kind of a sports analogy, I mentioned this in one of the recent podcasts, but take an average NFL game. There's roughly 153 plays per game, but how many actually matter? Go to the Super Bowl. How many are we actually still talking about today? Very few, right? Like less than 10, probably, maybe enough that fit on a single hand. And markets are no different. So you need to be exposed and invested. This is public market investing. You need to be exposed and invested, because if you miss the best day, it's incredibly damaging on returns, especially from a relative standpoint. You're missing one out of X number of trading days throughout the year, and it can really, really damage you. If you miss 5, it's even more so. So here's some interesting numbers. So looking at the S&P 500 from 1990 to 2022, if you would have invested $1,000, it would have grown to the end of 2022 to $21,555. You miss one single day, the best day, it would have been $19,317. Pretty substantial. You miss 5, almost slicing it in half to $13,614. Guessing when those best days are going to happen, again, nearly impossible. So you stay disciplined, you look at what the data says, you don't try and time the public markets. The private markets, and we've got a lot of podcasts on that. We're not going to spend a ton of time on it today, but private markets really are a lot different. Data says there's a little bit more inefficiency in the marketplace. Doesn't mean you should still time the markets. We're not advocating for that whatsoever, but we take a little bit of a different tact, and manager skill relationships and networks work a little bit differently within the private market. So that's really high level what the data says and how we're developing our playbook to really support, again, the game we're playing, your priorities. But then we need to develop a team on the field, and that's really kind of portfolio construction, which Mina, you do on a daily basis. So why don't you unpack that for us?
Yeah. And taking a step back, I think we view every client as sort of the team owner, and team owners want to be successful. They want to have successful organizations. They want to win. We kind of slot into that coach GM role, sort of the Bill Belichick style. And our jobs are to assemble the right team given your goal and given your targets to win with a budget and to win effectively. So you can think about assembling a football team like maybe you start with your linemen. Your offensive line is sort of your protective reserve. That's the rock. That's literally where the
foundational building block.
Yeah, it's where the ball starts. And around that, your receivers, your quarterback, your running back, they all work and they all produce because your O-line ideally takes care of things. So you can think about your other players, some of those attacking players, as an offensive weapons, as your equities, both public and private equities. So we really do take a building blocks approach, making sure that everything is taken care of up front and enables you to actually play offense hopefully well.
Yeah, and play offense to really, really grow your wealth at the end of the day. Yeah, that's a great analogy. And then, to bring it kind of full circle, you also still need that strong coach. You need that strong coach to make sure the players on the field are allocated in the right way, or positioned rather in the sports analogy sense, to make the right play when the time comes. You're not going to necessarily get it each and every time, but you're playing this long-term game, right? You're playing for 153 plays on average, ready to break out when that best market day happens, or there's that scoring opportunity essentially, right? So that's kind of how we can put all this together to drive a winning approach to investing. Hopefully this was a fun little conversation to apply some of the tenets in the sports world. Obviously, most of our clients listening here are professional athletes, but applying some of these tenets that you guys are probably all really, really familiar, regardless of sport, into the investing world. There's a lot of very similar principles when it comes to both of them. So if you have any questions, definitely reach out to us. But until next time, own your wealth, make an impact, and always be a pro.
The information in this podcast is educational and general in nature and does not take into consideration the listener's personal circumstances. Therefore, it is not intended to be a substitute for specific, individualized financial, legal, or tax advice. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a final decision.